we are going to break down Balasana, that's child's pose. Child's pose is a wonderful pose for decompressing the spine. It's very grounding, it's a great hip stretch. It feels really yummy for many of us when in a yoga class, our teacher says, go into child's pose, or the child's pose is always available to you. So if practice gets too intense, you can go into child's pose. For many of us, that's great. We love child's pose, but that's not the case for everyone. So today I'm going to show you some different variations of child's pose, how you can use some props, how you can position your body a little bit differently to find the most easeful child's pose for you, knowing that on any given day your child's pose may feel different and your needs in child's pose may be different. So you'll have different options that you can use anytime. So first, starting with a child's pose without any props. So this is our traditional child's pose. If I come to hands and knees, I'm going to spread my knees about mat width apart, my toes are touching, and I'm going to sink my hips back towards my heels as I lower my forehead to the mat, stretching my arms forward. So for me, that feels really good, but that's not always the case. So some different things that we can do here, starting with our arms. So our arms are reaching forward, but for some of us, that may be too much on our shoulders. So other things you can do with your arms, you can bring them by your side, or you can reach them between your knees and reaching for your feet, okay? Two different ways that you can position your arms if having them forward isn't feeling good for you. The next thing we're going to talk about is the knees. So I started out with my knees wide apart, mat width, my toes are touching. So this keeps my hips very open, I can sink back into that. If that is not feeling good for you, you can keep your knees together. So coming back into a child's pose. Now in this child's pose, it feels much better for me to have my arms by my sides, but again, play with it and see what works for you. So knees together, knees apart. Try different things. All right, so we talked about our knees, we talked about our arms. Well, what if you can't get your hips to your heels, right? This is pretty easy for me to do, but some people may come back and say, hey, this is as far as I can go. No problem. This is where props become your friends. So in that case, I would consider taking a bolster or a blanket that you roll up, and you can put that on your calves so you can come back and have some support. You don't have to go all the way down. You have this blanket here or bolster supporting you. So that's an option. If you don't have a blanket or a bolster, you can try a block. Blocks just get a little bit funny for me just because they're never quite wide enough. But again, you can play around with that and find something that feels good, that you can sink your hips onto without touching the heels. All right, so something else I want to show you. If you can't get your forehead down to the mat, right? I can do that today, but there may be times where I'm just not feeling that. Block is a really great option. Bringing your forehead to rest on a block. Or grab your trusty blanket, roll it up. You can grab a bolster and reaching forward, resting your forehead on the blanket. So finding whatever variation is good for you. Now I showed you a lot of different things there, and you can pair them together, right? So maybe you have your forehead on a block and your arms by your side. These are just, it's a menu of options, and you can try them and play with them and and discover what feels great for you. If you can bring your forehead to the mat, or even if you can bring it to a blanket, it feels nice to rock your head side to side, kind of massaging the forehead into the mat. That can be really, really yummy for you. So again, just trying some different things and knowing that there is no right or wrong way. The first child's pose I showed you, it's not necessarily the right one. There is no right. It's whatever feels good in your body, whatever is serving your body. So have some fun with that, play around with it. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. And thanks for tuning in. See you next time.